Hello, I'm Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles. Hardcore Course in Miracles. And we're going to talk about the power of your will and how to get in touch with your will and how to actually will light and love and peace and joy into your life. So stick around. We're going to make the Course in Miracles practical. I'm Earl Purdy. Welcome to Facebook Live, Hardcore Course in Miracles. We're going to start out with a song by Brother John Christmas at www.johnChristmas.com that will bring us together before I dive into our lesson for this presentation. Here we go. Here we go.
There's a call for a God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one.
Hello, I'm Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles. That's especially geared toward people who are studying A Course in Miracles and want to take advantage of my over 40 years of teaching it and studying it. On this class, Hardcore Course in Miracles, we focus on the practical application of the ideas. So we are going to be applying the Course in Miracles to situations and circumstances that we're dealing with right now.
You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it?
Ah, I love how that song just kind of gets us all, whew, brings us all together so we can feel this good energy. I'm telling you. Are you ready to go deep? Are you ready to go deep? Are you ready to go deep? A Course in Miracles is a course in the expression of truth, the expression of love. We're going to be on lesson 87 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. Lesson 87 on page 152 in the Course in Miracles workbook, in the Course in Miracles book. Page 152, lesson 87 is, I will there be light. I will there be light, which is the same as saying, I will that there be love. I will that there be love. I will that there be light. Say that to yourself. I will that there be light. I will that there be light. And A Course in Miracles says light is understanding. So you could say, I will there be understanding. I will there be understanding. And light is also truth. A Course in Miracles defines light as truth. So you could say, I will there be truth. I will there be truth. What about love? I will there be love. That's what light is. You will there be love. You will there be happiness. That's light. You will there be happiness. You will there be love. You will there be love. You will there be truth. Now remember the guidelines for the course. The guidelines, the rules. Are you ready? Remember only this. Remember only this. Listen to me. Remember only this. I'm the divine repetition teacher. I am the divine remembering teacher. I am here to help you remember and hear what A Course in Miracles is saying. The Course in Miracles says that it's not about analyzing it, it's about hearing it and remembering the ideas and using the ideas. No amount of analyzation is going to produce the results that the Course in Miracles promises. You can entertain your ego, that part of you that needs to figure everything out, but it will not help you accomplish the goal of happiness and peace that the Course in Miracles is talking about. Another key word to really get the most out of A Course in Miracles is the word slowly. Slowly. A Course in Miracles says many times in the book, read me slowly. Say this slowly. So we're going to slow down. I want you to slow down. And what can help you slow down is to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Bring your attention to your body. Feel your body. Feel the temperature of where you are. Feel your clothes, if you have them on, against your skin right now. Become conscious and breathe. And remember only this. Remember only this. Remember only this. You need not believe the ideas. You need not believe the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. I love you, mighty companion. You need not even welcome the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas in A Course in Miracles you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas in A Course in Miracles you may find hard to believe. And others may seem to be quite startling. Some of the ideas in A Course in Miracles may startle you. Some of the ideas in A Course in Miracles may startle you. You are not asked to judge the ideas at all. You're not being asked to analyze the ideas at all. The Course in Miracles is not asking you to analyze and judge the ideas. If you're here to judge the Course, then you're not here for the reason that would help you really have the kind of joy you want. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you. The ideas will show you that the ideas are true. The ideas will show you that the ideas are true. Their use, using the ideas, not analyzing the ideas. Using the ideas in A Course in Miracles will show you that the ideas in A Course in Miracles are true. Okay, let's go. I will there be light. You will there be light. I will there be light. This is about participation. This is about giving yourself the practical application of it. So say to yourself, I will there be light. I will there be light. You will there be light. So what is it that you're going to use today? What is it you are going to use today? What is it that you are going to use right now? What is it that you are going to use right now? You will use the power of your will today. You will use the power of your will today. You will use what? The power of your will today. The Course in Miracles says that will is just another name for mind. So you could just as easily say, I will use the power of my mind. I will use the power of my mind. You will use the power of your mind today. You will use the power of your will today. So what is not your will, according to A Course in Miracles? What is not your will? Well, it's not your will to grope about in darkness. It's not your will to grope about in ignorance. It's not your will to be fearful of shadows. It is not your will to be afraid. It is not your will to be afraid. It is not your will to grope about in darkness. It is not your will to grope about in darkness. It is not your will to be afraid of things. It is not your will to be afraid of things. It is not your real mind to be afraid of things. It is not your will to be afraid of things. What things? Things unseen and unreal. You don't want to be afraid of darkness. You don't want to be afraid of shadows. You don't want to be afraid of things that you don't even see. You don't want to be afraid of things unseen and things unreal. Do you? You don't want to be afraid. So, what should be your guide today? What is going to guide you now? What do you want to guide you now? Well, light shall be your guide today. Light shall be your guide today. So, what is light? Light is truth. So, truth shall be your guide. It's time for you to let the truth guide you, to let God guide you, to let love guide you. Light shall be your guide today. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to share this live video. Light shall be your guide today. Say that to yourself. Say that to yourself. Light shall be my guide today. Light shall be my guide today. That's love. Love shall be my guide today. So where are you going to follow the light? Well, you will follow the light where light leads you. Say, I will follow light where it leads me. I will follow the truth where it leads me. All these things that I'm saying, you should be saying it to yourself, out loud or silently. Say to yourself, I will follow light where it leads me. I will follow light where it leads me. And light is the truth. So tell yourself, I will follow truth where it leads me. You will follow truth. What are you going to follow? The truth where it leads you. So if you see A Course in Miracles as your spiritual path, that's the same as saying you're going to let the teachings of the Course in Miracles guide you today. That you will follow the teachings of A Course in Miracles where it leads you. This is not, that is the beauty of choosing a spiritual path. If you've chosen a spiritual path, then you must follow that spiritual path. But your spiritual path may not be the spiritual path of someone else. But your spiritual path, if you say it's A Course in Miracles, for instance, then you would say, the Course in Miracles shall be my guide today. The truth shall be my guide today. And then where will you follow it? You will follow the truth where it leads you. So how do you follow the truth where it leads you? Well, you will look only on what the truth shows you. You will focus your attention only on what the truth shows you. You're going to focus your attention only on what love shows you. It says it right there. I will follow light where it leads me, and I will look only on what light shows me. I will look only on what light shows me. So what is it that you want to experience today? What is it that you want to experience right now? So now what we're doing is we're focusing on the teachings of A Course in Miracles. All of my focus is going to be on what this lesson is saying. Because my function as a teacher of the Course, a teacher of love, is to be a messenger of the Course. So it is more important that we remember what this is saying than for us to feel like it's so important to give our interpretations of everything that's being said. This is a time for us to come together as one mind, to hear what the Course in Miracles is saying, what it's saying is you're going to use the power of your mind, the power of your will today. Then it tells you what is not your will. And what did it say is not your will? It's not your will to grope about. It's not your will to be afraid. It's not your will to be afraid of things. You don't want to be afraid of things. That's not your will. Then it reminds us. What does it remind us of? The Course in Miracles reminds you that you want the light, the truth, and love to be your guide today. What is it that you want? You want light to be your guide today. So then where are you going to follow the truth? Where are you going to follow the Course? Well, it says you're going to follow it where it leads you. So truth, God, and light and love are going to lead you. And so how do you become a really great follower of the truth? How do you become a really great follower of the light? Well, you look only on what it shows you. Focus your attention on what the Course in Miracles is teaching, if that is your path. Focus your attention on what you see your spiritual path as being. That is how you let your spiritual path, light, truth, God, love, lead you. So, and then you tell yourself what you want to experience. Because without a goal, the Course in Miracles teaches that the goal determines the outcome. That your goal, I love all you coming online. Appreciate you so much. I look at all your comments and read them. So listen, what is it that you want to experience today, this day? It says, this day I will experience the peace of true perception. So where does your peace come from? And the Course in Miracles defines peace as total fulfillment. I love that definition of peace. I used to think it was talking about like just sitting in a cave meditating on your navel or something. Most people think peace is dull. When I used to hear peace, it was like, because most people's idea of peace is thinking that you're sitting somewhere quiet. And that's one way you can tune into peace. But you can tune into peace on a dance floor. You can tune into peace partying, hiking, traveling, whatever. You can tune into peace through a variety of things. But the kind of peace that the Course in Miracles is talking about is the peace that comes from true perception. It says, this day I will experience the peace of true perception. So where does peace come from? Where does peace come from? Where does total fulfillment come from? It comes from having true perception. So where does peace come from? Peace doesn't come from having a house, having a car, having a lover, having a successful career, even though all those things are wonderful to allow yourself to have. But the Course in Miracles is teaching that peace will come from having accurate perception. True peace will come from you having correct perception, seeing things correctly. That's what's going to bring you peace, is seeing things correctly. That's what will allow you to experience peace. What is it that will allow you to experience peace? Having true perception. Do you know that the Course in Miracles defines perception as learning and interpretation? So you perceive what you have learned. You may see me as a man, but that's because you learned to see me as a man. So you're always seeing what you have learned. You are always seeing things how you have learned to see things. So perception, the Course in Miracles says, perception is interpretation. So another word for perception is what? Interpretation. So this day you will experience the peace of true, correct interpretation. What do you want? You want the correct interpretation. You want to give the correct meaning to what you see. True perception is true interpretation, correct interpretation. So where does your peace come from? Peace comes from having a correct interpretation, having a correct interpretation. That's where your peace comes from. Your peace comes from having a correct interpretation, an accurate interpretation, a correct interpretation. So I want you to think about a situation, circumstance, or person in your life that you are finding yourself not experiencing peace in. Do you have it? Do you have the person, the situation, the circumstance that you may not be giving yourself total peace in? Now remember, a true perception, a correct interpretation causes you to experience what? A correct interpretation allows you to experience peace. So a correct interpretation, a true perception, gives you peace. A true perception gives you peace. A true perception gives you peace. A correct interpretation gives you peace. So what does it mean if you don't have peace? If you feel angry, if you feel upset, if you feel depressed, does that mean you don't have a true perception? That's exactly what it means. Whenever you are upset, you are making an incorrect perception of whatever is happening. Because when you have a true perception, what do you experience? If it's a true perception, you experience peace. If it's a loving interpretation, if it's a correct interpretation, you experience what? If it's a correct interpretation, then you experience total fulfillment. So if you're not feeling total fulfillment, if you are feeling guilt, if you are experiencing in your perception lack, upset, anger, sickness, then it means you do not, I repeat, you do not have a correct perception. Do you know that the Course in Miracles teaches that the only thing that can be wrong is what? The only thing that can be wrong. What is the only thing that can be wrong? According to A Course in Miracles. Remember, I'm teaching A Course in Miracles. According to A Course in Miracles, the only thing that can be wrong is perception. It's not that your mama wrong, your dad is wrong, your boss is wrong, your children are wrong, your maid is wrong, everybody everywhere is wrong. No, the only thing that can be wrong is the way that you're looking at things. So whatever is going on in your perception, whatever you see that's upsetting you, if you want to make a tremendous leap in awakening, a tremendous leap in consciousness, tell yourself, I'm upset. I must not have a true perception. I must not have a true perception. I'm upset right now. I don't have a true perception. How do I know I don't have a true perception? I know I don't have a true perception because I don't feel peaceful right now. I feel upset right now. I feel sad right now. So that means my perception is incorrect. It means you're not seeing something correct. If you were just to learn to just make that one interpretation, that when you have peace, your perception is accurate. When you have conflict, your perception is not accurate. That means the way that you are interpreting the situation is incorrect. So ask yourself, do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? Do I want to be right? Or do I want to be happy? Do I want to be right? Or do I want to be happy? Ask yourself. Ask yourself this. Are you ready? Are you ready? Ask yourself this. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Do I want to be right? Let me ask you, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? I don't hear you. I don't see you. What? Answer that. What? What? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Happy. I hope you're saying happy. So if you're upset and angry and sad, if you are feeling sick and broke and in lack in your perception, it means you are not seeing something correctly. It means that you are not seeing things correctly. It means that you have a wrong interpretation. If you are not feeling peace, it means that you have an incorrect interpretation of that person or that situation. Just remember this one thing. If you're mad, you're being had by the part of your mind that doesn't know the truth. If you're mad, you're being had. That's true. So I want you to think about a situation that is producing some form of discomfort in you, some form of upset. Do you have a situation? I want you to say this. This is what the Course in Miracles says you should say if you want the correct perception of the situation that you're going through. If you want to have the correct perception of what something that you're going through right now, say this. This, whatever it is, say, this cannot hide the light I will to see. This cannot hide the light I will to see. This cannot hide the light I will to see. This, whatever it is, you know what the situation is. You know what the circumstance is. You know who the person I'm talking about is. Say to yourself, this cannot hide the light I will to see. This cannot hide the light I will to see. This cannot hide the truth I will to see. This cannot hide the truth I will to see. Say it. This cannot hide the truth I will to see. This cannot hide the truth I will to see. This cannot hide the truth I will to see. This cannot hide the love I will to see. This cannot hide the love I will to see. This cannot hide the love I will to see. This, and you know what it is. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll say it for you. Let me say it for you. This cannot hide the light you will to see. This cannot hide the light you will to see. This cannot hide the love you will to see. This cannot hide the love you will to see. This cannot hide the peace you will to see. This cannot hide the peace you will to see. This cannot hide the peace you will to see. This cannot hide the peace you will to see. Whatever the situation is that's causing you a lack of peace right now, whatever you're going through conflict about right now, say, this cannot hide the joy I will to see. This is the actual application of A Course in Miracles. As you notice, I'm repeating, and that I'm going slowly. It's not about how much material we cover. It's about how much of the Course in Miracles we remember. It's not about how fast we read through it. It's about hearing what it's saying. That you will there be light, that you want light and love and truth, God, That's how it starts out. Then it tells you that you're going to use the power of your will today. What is the power of your will? It's the power of your mind. What is it that you don't want to use your will for? You don't want to use your will to grope about in ignorance and fear and darkness. You don't want to be afraid of things. It is not your will to be afraid of things. So what are you going to let guide you? You're going to let light, truth, God, love guide you today. And where are you going to follow the light? Where are you going to follow the light? Well, you're going to follow the truth, the light, where it leads you. Let's make this practical. For instance, if you say A Course in Miracles is your spiritual path, or whatever you see your spiritual path as being, then you should be a person that's letting that spiritual path guide you. And I want to pose a question to you. How are you going to follow the guidance and the teachings of A Course in Miracles if you don't study it, if you don't read it, unless you know what it's saying? How can you let it be your guide? Do you follow what I'm saying? It's not about trying to fit the teaching into your way of thinking. It's about if something is going to guide you, then you need to know what it's saying. That's why you see me going slow and repeating and focusing on what the Course in Miracles is saying. I want, when someone tunes into one of my classes, one of my presentations, I want them to know that it's not going to be me just giving you my interpretations of the Course. I'm letting the Course in Miracles interpret itself. These substitutions that I use are coming from the Course itself. The Course says light is understanding. Light is truth. Light is love. I'm just saying what the Course in Miracles says. But what I'm really attempting to do is to help you hear it and remember what it's saying. I've worked with people for decades, and the people that I see really get the healing and the love and the peace that the Course in Miracles promises, I'll tell you exactly what their characteristics are. They actually read and study A Course in Miracles, and they do the workbook lesson as best they can. And they focus on knowing what it's saying and remembering what it's saying, rather than arguing with it and fighting it and not studying it. So, this situation that you may be faced with right now, I want you to say to yourself, this cannot hide the light I will to see. Now, I want you to think of a person that you may feel some separation with or some discomfort or you don't particularly like. Say, you stand with me in light, and then say that person's name. The person that you need to get another way of looking at, you know who they are. Say this right now to that person. You stand with me in light. You stand with me in light. It may help you to close your eyes and picture that person or persons and say. You might need to say that for the whole country right now. You stand with me in light, and then say their name. Say their name. You stand with me in truth, because light is truth. So you might want to say that. You might want to say, you stand with me in truth. Then you say their name. You stand with me in truth. You stand with me in love. You don't have to believe it. Remember, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it. When you say it, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to welcome it. You don't have to believe it, accept it, or welcome it. That's okay. No matter what your reaction to the ideas may be, just use the ideas. Nothing else is being asked of you. Just use the idea. Even if you have a negative reaction to the ideas that I share with you, just use the ideas. That's what the Course says. It's the use that's going to give it meaning to you anyway. But isn't that wonderful to know that it's asking you to use the ideas no matter what your reaction is? So you don't have to feel like you got to believe it in order to use the ideas. So you want to say to that person, you stand with me in light, and then say their name. So if there's a situation in your life that's causing you any kind of unhappiness or fear, say to yourself, in the light, this will look different. In the light, this will look different. In the truth, this will look different. In the truth, this will look different. In the truth, that will look different. In the truth, that will look different. In the love, that will look different. In the love, this will look different. This will look different. In other words, when you're seeing correctly, whatever the situation is that's upsetting you will look different. In the light, this will look different. In the light, they will look different. In the light, they will look different. In the truth, they will look different. These are practical applications. This is the workbook. This is the practical application of A Course in Miracles. And what's the next thing we need to know about will? What is the next thing that we need to know about will? What is the next thing that we need to know about will? It says, well, there is no will but God's. What? There is no will but God's. There is no will but God's will. There is no will but the Creator's will. You did not create yourself. I did not create myself. We did not create ourselves. We did not create ourselves. So since we are here, something thought us up. Something had the idea of you. Something thought you up. Something thought you up. Something gave you existence. You exist. You have awareness. Have you ever thought about that? Where did you come from? And don't say you came from two people having some good or not so good sex one night and poof, you're here. No, that sex produces the body, but it doesn't produce the soul. Sex, physical sex produces the body, but it didn't produce you. You entered the body. You entered the body. You entered the body. You are not the body. So who created you? Who created you? Who gave you existence? Well, the Course in Miracles says, the Course in Miracles calls that being God, which is love, which is truth, which is light. So there is no will but love's will. There is no will but the will of love. There's no will but the will of God. Now, why are you safe today? You are safe. Why are you really safe? What really makes you safe? Why are you really safe? Well, you are safe because there is no will but God's will. There is no will but God's will. There is no will, there is no mind but the mind of God. There is one mind. We are all part of the one mind. So whatever goes into what appears to be your separate mind actually goes into the one mind. So you are learning this and doing this for the one mind. So everything that we're doing right now is affecting every mind in creation because we're a part of that one mind. It doesn't make any difference what side of a pot that you pour water in, the whole pot is affected. So when you practice the truth like you're doing right now, it's having an effect on the one mind that we all share. So you are lifting up others, so-called others, just by focusing on this light, focusing on this truth. So why are you safe today? Well, you're safe because there's no will but God's. And what does the Course in Miracles teach that God's will is? A Course in Miracles teaches that God's will for you is what? God's will for you is perfect happiness. You got to make up your mind that that's all your Creator wants for you. Make that choice right now, that from this moment forward, you're going to only support the idea that your Creator wants you to be happy. God's will for you is perfect happiness. That's one of the workbook lessons. Get clear about this. Something that loves you, someone that loves you, only wants your happiness, only wants you to be happy. See, if you were to love somebody and you were in a relationship with them and you really loved them, you would want them to be happy even if they were with someone else beside you. If you love someone for real, you just want them to be happy. So the Course in Miracles says that that's exactly what our Creator wants for us, to be happy. So you are safe because there's no will but God's. And there is nothing more powerful than God. There is nothing more powerful than all that is. That is another term for God. All that is. The universe. You're not more powerful than the whole universe. And the whole universe wants you to have complete happiness. There is no will but God's. So what makes you become afraid? What is it that makes a person become afraid? Well, the Course in Miracles says, I can become afraid only when I believe there's another will but God's. So what is it that makes a person afraid? Whenever you're feeling afraid, say this. The next time you're feeling afraid, say this. The next time you're feeling afraid, what should you say? Say, I am believing there's another will but God's. That's why I'm afraid. I'm afraid because I believe there's another will but God's will. That's why I'm really afraid. I think I'm afraid because of something that's happening in the world, but that's not really why you are afraid. You are afraid because you believe there is another will other than God's. That's why a person is afraid. It's because they believe in another will. God wills for you to have love and happiness. So you are afraid. That means you are believing that there is some other will but the will of God's. So when does a person try to attack? What makes a person attack? The Course says, I try to attack only when I am afraid. So are you telling me that everyone that is angry, you're telling me that everyone that is attacking, anyone that's attacking, anyone that's trying to hurt someone, the Course in Miracles says that's a person that's afraid. So angry people are afraid. 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 People that attack are afraid. Someone that attacks you is afraid of you. According to the Course, right here on the page, I'm not making it up, it says, you can try to attack only when you are afraid. And only when you try to attack can you believe that your eternal safety is threatened. So why is a person attacking? Because they believe their safety is threatened. People who are angry believe their safety is threatened. But you have a special kind of safety. You have what the Course in Miracles calls eternal safety. Eternal is another term in the Course in Miracles for eternal. Eternal is constant, permanent. So you have an eternal safety. You got a safety beyond what you can see right now. But a person gets angry, a person attacks when they believe what? A person attacks when they believe that their safety is threatened. Whenever you're angry, you just believe your safety is threatened. Whenever you're mad, you believe your safety is threatened. That's not a sin. That's just a mistake. Because your safety that's rooted in your Creator, your safety that's rooted in God cannot be threatened. It cannot be threatened. So today, what should you recognize? What did it say we should recognize? It says you should recognize that all this has not occurred. Recognize that a threat to your safety in reality has not happened. Recognize that you are safe. What you really are is safe. What you really are is safe. Who you really are is safe. Who you really are is safe. What you really are is safe. So say, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe because there is no will but God's. I am safe because there is no will but God's. I am safe because there is no will but God's. You are safe because there is no will but the will of God, the will of love, the will of truth, the will of light. You are safe even if you don't feel like you are. You are safe no matter what your reaction to this idea may be. You are safe. But why did the Course in Miracles say you were safe? Because there is no will but God's. So this situation that you're dealing with right now, say, let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. This situation, this circumstance, this relationship, what I'm going through right now, what you're going through right now, say, let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. Let me see this. Notice it said, let me perceive this. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of truth, the will of God. You know the situation, circumstance, relationship, a person I'm talking about. Say right now, let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. And the will of God for you is perfect happiness. The will of God for you is perfect happiness. Your Creator love wants only complete happiness for you. So say to yourself about this situation, go, let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. It is God's will that you are God's creation, which the Course calls son. It is God's will that you are God's creation. It is love's will that you are love's creation. Then you call that person's name. That person you need to look at differently, forgive, say, it is God's will, you are God's child. Then say their name, and mine as well. It is God's will that you are God's child, and it is mine as well. It is God's will that you are God's child. Then you call their name, and then you say, and mine as well. And then whatever is happening in your life right now, whatever is happening, think about the situations that you're dealing with right now. Think of whatever you are going through right now, and say to yourself, this is part of God's will for me. This is part of God's will for me. There's something in this that is a lesson that God would have me learn. That's the correct perception of any situation or circumstance or relationship that you have right now, is that this is a lesson that your Creator, there's a lesson in this that your Creator wants you to learn. And so this is part of God's will for you. So say, this is part of God's will for me, however I may see it, no matter how I'm looking at it. This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it, whatever the situation is. Because this is part of God's will for me, however I may see this, however I may see it. This is part of love's will for me. This is part of love's will for me, however I may see it. Say that to yourself. These are the practical applications. And we're going to do a quick recap in a minute. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Earl Purdy. I'm a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles, and I do it on a donation basis. And I want to thank you for your donations and the support of my teaching ministry. If you'd like to make a donation, go to www.earlpurdy.com. And earlpurdy.com. You can also use Venmo, and my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. And on Cash App, it's Earl Purdy. One word. I want you to know I thank you and appreciate you. I'm available for one-on-one mentoring, counseling, and showing you how to apply this to situations in your life that you're ready to have healed and to see another way. I call what I do clarity sessions. And I also, for those who are open, I use my 45-year plus knowledge of astrology and numerology that is used for higher consciousness and getting in touch with your divine purpose and the reason why you're here and how to make that easier. So it's called a clarity session. So go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and look under the clarity session tab, and you will get more details, and you can self-book an appointment with me right from my website. And there are hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of videos and audios on my website that you can watch for free. I also have tons of videos of my classes on YouTube, lots of, and on Facebook. I'm here just to be truly helpful, and I'm freely giving as best I can, because all that I give is given to myself. All that I give is given to myself. All that you give is given to yourself. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook Live. I do another Course in Miracles presentation at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And then on Thursdays, also, I also do Hardcore Course in Miracles right here, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page. Follow the page, subscribe to the page, share the videos. And watch them each class at least 4 times, because it's about remembering it. Remembering what? Well, remembering that you want to use your willpower today and that you really don't want to be afraid of anything. Remember that you're going to let the truth, Course in Miracles be your guide today, and you're going to follow the truth in God where it leads you. And you're going to focus on looking on only what the truth shows you. You need to remember that if you have true perception, you're seeing things more correctly. But if you're upset and angry, it means you don't have accurate perception. And what is perception? Perception is interpretation. So you need a new interpretation. The Course in Miracles is full of new interpretations. They're right there in the book. So tell yourself, whatever you're going through right now, say, this cannot hide the light I will to see. This cannot hide the light you will to see. Whatever you're going through right now, if there's a person in your life that you have a challenging relationship with right now, say, you stand with me in the light. And then call their name. You stand with me in the light. See, remember this. You see why I was saying it's all about remembering? So when you close the book, when we finish, will you remember anything that you heard me say? Or will you just go back to doing your interpretations of everything and trying to figure it out? Rather than to remember to tell yourself, in the light, this will look different in the light. This will look different in the light. Me not being able to pay this bill will look different in the light. The anger and the upset that I'm experiencing will feel different and will look different. In the light, this will look different. In the truth, this will look different. Application. What was the other thing that we need to remember? That there is no will but God's. And your Creator's will for you is perfect happiness. God's will for you is perfect happiness. So when you're afraid, what does it mean? When you're afraid, it means that you believe there's some other will but the will of God's. You believe in what your ego, your fear is telling you. So when you attack and you're angry, you should not be so hard on yourself, because anybody that attacks, they are attacking because they are afraid. So you only get angry when you are afraid. You only attack when you are afraid. You only attack, and a person only attacks when they believe their safety is threatened. So if you see a lot of anger and attack going on in the world right now, it's because we're in a world full of people that feel unsafe. You're in a world of people that feel unsafe. People who feel unsafe will attack. So you need to recognize that all of this hasn't occurred, that you are safe. You are safe. In other words, remember you are safe. remember you are safe. Even if you don't think you're safe, even if you don't think you are safe, even if you don't feel safe, it doesn't mean that you're not safe. Just because you don't feel safe doesn't mean that you're not safe. Why are you safe? Because there's no will but God's, and God's will for you is perfect happiness. So whatever you're going through right now, say to yourself, let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. Practical application. Practical application. So think of that person you need to forgive. Think about that. Now, I'll tell you what. Now, you want to say, it is God's will you are, whoever that person is, say, it's God's will that you are God's child. It's God's will that you are God's child. And call their name. And then say, and mine as well. It's love's will that you are the creation of love. And it's my will that you are the creation of love. It's right there on the page. It is God's will that you are God, that you are God's will. It's God's will that you are his son, name the person, and mine as well. Now I really want you to hear this one before I complete. I want you to hear this. Hear this. Think of one more thing that you know you're not seeing correctly. How do you know you're not seeing something correctly? Pop quiz. How do you know when you're not seeing something correctly? When you're not seeing something correctly, you don't feel peace. You don't feel peace. That's how you can tell that you don't have true perception of something. So whatever you're going through, whatever you are experiencing right now, there's a lesson in it. There's a lesson in it that God would have you learn, that the Creator would have you learn. So you should say, this is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. No matter how I see it, this is part of God's will for me. There's a lesson in this for me. There's a lesson in this that God would have me learn. Whatever that situation, whatever that circumstance, this is part of God's will for you. However you may see it, there's a lesson in this that you have to learn. Whatever you're going through, whatever the situation or circumstance, it's part of God's will for you that you learn the lesson that this is trying to teach you. However you may see it, this is part of God's will for you. So you say to yourself, this is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. Mighty companion. Woo! I'm going to listen to this. I always listen to and watch my presentations just as soon as I finish, so I can also sit back and just receive the message. And it's two main thoughts. Two main thoughts. You will there be light. You will there be love. You will there be freedom. You will there be peace. You will there be God. You will there be light. Say, I will there be light. And the second thought is, there is no will but God's. There is no will but God's. That's the second thought. There is no will but God's. It's me and you. We in this together. I appreciate you so much. Thank God for you. Thank God for you. I will see you next time. Share this video 4 times. Watch it at least and listen to it at least 4 times. I love you. I'll see you next time.